Hello, my name is Frances Fox, and I'm here to share extra information from other dimensions that are right here with us, uh, and that influence you, dimensions where reality is created. Your physical body is simply a manifestation of what was already created, well intended or not, in deeper dimensions. When you go to a doctor and they say you should do these things, and because maybe you're headed towards a heart attack or something like that, it's because in the other dimensions your bodies are already letting you know that something is not quite right. The fact that it hasn't hit the physical dimension is a really good thing, but you still need to take care of it. While it's only in the other dimensions, it's so much easier to take care of, which is why I'm doing the maps that I do on this Francis Fox News from Other Dimensions, which is converted into a podcast on Spotify and on Apple. So, what am I here to show you today? Well, we've got really good news having to do with the map. I decided to be very specific about what I was looking for in the map. And being at the issue, I think, is ultimately going to be the economy. That's my opinion, because I think that Trump is handling everything else. It seems like really good. It's not that he's not handling the economy well, but there are consequences to everything that he's doing. And a lot of people cannot see long term and would like to see any dip as an excuse to say that he got it all wrong. So I decided to do the map having to do with economic stability. And this is what I found. These green boxes are places that are very grounded, landed, stable, heart-centered, healed, that can change in the other dimensions very quickly. It takes longer on the physical. So you've got the New York and Washington, D.C., you've got all of Florida, part of Texas, but a nice size of Texas. California, what I got is catastrophes one after the other. Remember that the etheric Higgs field of California, there are parts of it that are missing. The Higgs field is a backdrop to reality, and it creates order. It's grids, one on top of the other, vertical and horizontal. So if you throw yourself against the grid, you're not going to be able to get to the other side because it's like a fencing. If that grid is not there, then anything can go through. Spirits, bad stuff, anything can go through. Nothing can stop it. And that's the problem with California. Now, there's something interesting going on. This whole Northeast, the top. Remember, I sketched a lot of times that there were galactic invasions that came in through here. I didn't understand. Then there was an earthquake, and I felt, and I believe I was correct, that it was due to this rage of a group of people that were getting together. And the date is here on these maps. Oh, here. God is working with us. So on this map, it says contained rage, and it created that. Mother Earth absorbs it, and there was an earthquake offshore. Potentially, perhaps they were on a boat, a group of people trying to make it as private as possible. And this was on the 20th. Well, here we go. This says treason. The word there is treason. I wasn't looking for that. I wasn't looking for anything. I'm not supposed to look for anything other than my intention, which is economic stability. So we have treason here. Now, if this map was supposed to be about economic stability, then this particular treason probably is not going to be military in nature, but probably will be economic in nature because of my intention of economic stability coming up on this map. I mean, that's how specific your intentions can be. Mine were very trained and honed, but you can do the same thing to yours. God gave you a mind that creates reality. We just were constructed to create, and then we were instructed to follow instructions. That is not working. But if you can flip that and get out of the following of instructions and get into fully the creation part, you have a mind. and you can create whatever you want, and you actually do. You just don't want to take responsibility because too much of what we create is feels like it's negative. But that's what all my work is about. And the book that I put out that is up today on Amazon in English is called Creation World Peace. You should buy it. It's only $5. It's an ebook. Give it away. Get everybody to have it and do the mantras. Because if you do the mantra, even if you couldn't care less about world peace, when you do the mantra, you are going to feel better and you're going to be creating peace in your life. But anyway, back to the map. The pyramids are even bigger and even more stabilizing for the United States. So this looks good, looks really good. California does not look good, but we already see the effects of that. And then there's trees in here, I'm sure. Is there anything else I can say about the trees? And it's definitely going to try, they're going to try to collapse something economically to make Trump look bad. Remember that in this country, it's really interesting. The economy in this country is based on market confidence. Okay, that's very unphysical. That's very much trust. So it kind of makes sense that if you want to create economic instability, and that's your form of treason against the government that was duly elected, that you would do something that would create a lack of faith. Now, let me show you where faith is held in your body. I mean, I'm sure you've already figured this out. It's at the top where it says Sahasrara, whatever that is. That's the crown chakra. And that's where faith is. Now, when you have faith, that energy center, the shocking pink at the top, works with, if you go to the trunk of the body, the red energy center called Mulahara, they work together. So if you don't have faith, your red energy center, which is the root chakra, is not going to work properly. And for there to be economic well being, your root chakra has to work properly. So if somebody destroys market confidence, the economy is going to go down just simply because of the energy chakra system. But you don't know anything about chakras, you don't know that. So I'm telling you. But the neat thing is that it really doesn't matter how bad everything gets. On the physical dimension, having to do with reality, if you work on faith, it will correct the root chakra, the root energy center, and then you will have the economic stability. And you go, wow, that's kind of wild. Well, doesn't it say that in the Bible? What do you mean, wow? That's not such a crazy statement. And I go back to the usual story of the mother who sees her kid trapped underneath the wheels of a car. She's overweight, never spent one day in a gym. Her kid is under the wheel of a car. What's the car? 8,000 pounds? Who knows? She doesn't look at it and start to go, well, I don't think I can do that. Nobody else is there. It's her, the kid on top of her, the car on top of her kid. She goes for it. She has the faith. She's going to save her kid. And there's so many stories of her actually being able to save her kid. That and 20 versions of that story, which is simply the person not thinking whether they can do it, but simply, I'm going to do it. And that is the way we need to look at the economy if things get very interesting. Unfortunately, things are going to get very interesting at this time, having nothing to do with politics, which is why I keep telling people, please don't live and die on the politics, because that's really not where it's all at. We have a planetary configuration of 7 planets, and the fullest point is Friday night. And it really depends upon who you read, and I have not looked this up, but it's supposed to be like a center point for something, for a huge change for all of the planet, having nothing to do with ideology or politics. and they're not exactly sure what's going to happen. And a lot of people are feeling like something is going to happen. So I have a big dilemma because I'm like split. The split is so big that my handlers in control in the military, mind control, really didn't care what I shared with my Hispanic friends and followers. Eh, the Anglos, they can't have that information. No, 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 no. There's a lot of power in that information. And apparently, my handlers in control didn't care that the Hispanics would have that power. They just didn't want the Americans, the Anglos, to have it. So I have a really big split in that the Hispanics that follow me are have so much more information and background, and I can speak so freely to them, and they don't go like this and wonder what I'm trying to sell them or where did I get that from. They just listen to it, put it together, whatever. So then I'm here sitting with this dilemma, and I guess there's really not a lot of time because there may not even be other incarnations. This may be it, which is not a bad thing. Planet Earth is not such an easy place to live on. So I have a chat that I give every Wednesday at 2, and it's called Ask Francis. And I don't bother doing it in English because I think I'm going to get answer questions that I'm going to answer correctly, but I'm going to answer at a root cause at another dimensional level, which is much more important than the physical, which is just a manifestation. And I'm going to get people saying that I got it wrong and what am I talking about and what's this whole thing with spirits? It's really not worth it. But today, but in that chat, at the end, I do something called pink healing because for a long time people would say, "Oh, you have all this pink coming off of you." So I started to give healings, and so at the end of the chat, I give a healing. And usually in the healing, I get some really important information for everybody, not for a person or a group of people. What I got today was a little bit disturbing. And remember that prophecy is saying what can happen if you stay on the same path. I am supposed to be prophetic in addition to many other things having to do with skills in the other dimensions. If prophecy was fact, it wouldn't be called prophecy, it would be called fact and information. The reason it's called prophecy is because it's done in advance, okay? It's not saying 2 and 2 is 4, so such and such a day it'll be 4. It is giving information on what is going to happen because of the path that we're on. So if a prophet is wrong, first place, he's not wrong. If something changes, that prophecy will not be valid, but that doesn't make the prophet wrong. It means that somebody made changes. That is the reason where if you believe in the people that throw tarot cards and psychics and whatever, you can go to them. Particularly, I'll use the silly example, but it's very valid for women that are looking for a man, and they go to the lady that throws the cards and the tarot cards, and the person tells them something, and the following week they have to go back because things changed. Well, why did things change? Because the future is elastic and plastic, and in my emotions is what changes things the most. Back to what I got today, that I'm dilly-dallying in order not to say it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. What I picked up today was that there's going to be a happening, and I think it's going to be today, tomorrow, the next several days is going to be happening, and it's going to shake everything up, which is basically what a lot of the astrologers are saying about this configuration. It's going to be something of a big shift, and it could be even physical. I believe there's going to be something of a very big, but there's going to be a happening, and I felt that it would be like an invasion of ETs. And when I looked again, it looked like something is coming up from out under the up from under the ground. I don't really know what it is that's going to happen. At this point, I can tell you something big is going to happen. Future's elastic and plastic. Something can stabilize, except this is really probably not a destabilization, but simply a planetary process that has to do with the change of cycles. Whatever it is, it's big enough that I suggested to my followers who know me for a long time, that they make sure that the four corners of the home, the apartment that they live in, and the four corners of the property where their home or their apartment is on, that it be stabilized. You can do that with crystals. If you have any crystals, go find them in those drawers. Put them in water with salt for 15 minutes to purify them, and then go and put them on the four corners of your property and of your home. Crystal is earth energy stabilizing. And I suggested that again. And all of this is via intuition. And I suggested also that they ask for galactic help from the galactics that are the good guys. See, I said it. So if nothing happens on Saturday, you can say, see, nothing happened. The future is absolutely elastic and plastic, which is why it's okay to have a problem. You only have a problem if you need it. So it's okay to have it. It's reminding you of something. What it is that I kind of intuit could be happening is not like a problem that we need. It's basically a shift, a huge planetary shift having to do with the cycle of the planets, which I'm not going to get into. I'm not that familiar with all the wording or with any of the dates. So back to today. The United States is looking good. I would like to put a little video on now because we are identifying a lot of really shady characters, bad people, thieves. Oh my God, that's a lot of money that they've been stealing. I was pleased to see today that Trump said we're not cutting social services. We're cutting waste. And it was good that that be said, and it should be repeated till we're sick of hearing it, so that the bad guys that want to try to pull our heartstrings and say, look, you're cutting off, people won't be able to eat, just keep saying that again and again, like a mantra. We're not cutting social services. We're cutting fraud and expenses that are not necessary. So just do it like a mantra. We're not cutting social services. We're cutting fraud, just like the bad guys do. So I'm going to put a little movie on now. Reality is different in each dimension. The deepest dimensions of spiritual, all the religions and all the people that are into this, that work at that level, kind of agree. These are bottom lines. The bottom line having to do with good people and bad people, because right now a lot of bad people are getting identified. That's a lot of money. That doesn't fit in your pocket or in suitcases. That's a level of fraud that's really shocking. And shocking that we didn't see it. That probably is the worst part. Why were we so asleep? Okay, so I'm going to show you a movie about what is known about bad people and their part in the planet. And I've been over this several times with you, but I think I need to show it again. Okay? Because we don't know what this thing with the planets aligning, what this shakeup that many people are feeling. It's not like they're predicting, oh, this is going to happen. They're feeling it's like, let me show you the movie. Okay. And then we'll do a mantra. I did this movie many years ago.
We are ending a cycle on planet Earth, and it is time that you understand your relationship to good and evil in the history of the planet.
This thing about ending the cycle is what these planets that are aligning in the next couple of days is about. What a coincidence.
Of the planet. I have a story to tell you. It may help to explain a lot of things in your life, but also help to give perspective on the history of the planet. It may change the way you view the transformation planet Earth is going through now. I had a session years ago with a client who was a really nice man, but with considerable darkness in his life. I asked how I could help him, and he said he did not know. The time with me was not his idea. I said I would look at his planetary history to find the most important information that would help him to understand himself. I went back to his life in Lemuria, the civilization before Atlantis. An angel appeared to him saying, "We need your help." He responded in that lifetime, "I'm willing to help. What do you need?" They said what they needed was difficult, and he responded that he was willing. They said a darkness had come over the planet, and most souls were too weak to handle the darkness. He repeated he would help. What did the angels need from him? They said they needed him to take on the darkness, as many souls were too weak. He responded, "I will do it." They told him it would be hard because he would not remember, and he might get lost in the darkness. He said he would do it for the others. Widen your lens, and it might help you to understand the violence and conflict today on planet Earth. Perhaps the most important aspect of your life in relations to others is not that you are Jewish or Christian or American or French or Iranian. Perhaps the most important aspect of you is that you are from planet Earth, and there are others out there that are different and have different intentions from those who are from here. Perhaps now we really need to understand what is going on. We are in a final battle between light and dark on planet Earth. We need to widen our lens to know who we are and who our true enemies are. We are multidimensional beings. We have parts of ourselves in several dimensions at a time. We are energetically structured like the tree of life, which is the backbone of our multidimensional system. Our individual sacred tree of life is our chakra system. Its central axis is the trunk of the tree of your life. It is your holy grail, with its funnel-like structure at the top, drawing in off-planet energies, and a funnel-like shape at the bottom, drawing in Earth energies. Unfortunately, the top of your tree of life will be filled with the energy of Xibalba, what the Mayans call the path to the underworld, and scientists call the dark rift because of the alignments of the planets, which complete on December 21st, 2012. Unfortunately, the bottom of your tree of life, your holy grail, is already susceptible to the energies from Xibalba due to Earth's broken Brahmavara. Who is going to take on the darkness from the broken Brahmavara in the Gulf of Mexico? Who is going to take on the darkness that will enter the planet via the supermassive black hole that is aligning with planet Earth? Who will go to war to process the violence and conflict that is pouring onto the planet now? Who will kill and maim and be killed and injured to protect those of us who are not strong enough to process those energies? If it is true that Jerusalem is to be the site of the final battle between light and dark, good and evil, then the peoples who spiritually chose to carry the dark energy poured onto the planet are sacrificing themselves for all of us. Jerusalem, Israelis, Palestinians, Colombians, Iranians, all willing to battle for all of us souls, sacrificing themselves by processing the energies of conflict and violence so that we can be free. As in Lemurian times, a darkness is now entering the planet, and there will be souls who will sacrifice themselves for the rest of us.
Okay. So let's go ahead and do a mantra for grounding and rooting. If you have any crystals, place them in the four corners of your property, the four corners of your home. It will not help. That's the Indian medicine wheel. And let's go ahead and do a mantra now with the rooting therapy video. And let me think about the mantra. I'll get the video up. Should we do the fun one? No, let's do the crystal one. That one. I'll get a mantra up and you repeat the mantra. The mantra is repeated in silence and you expel through your mouth. Okay. How do you feel? Better? My shoulders are more relaxed. I have two stories I want to tell you. I'll probably forget the first one, the second one after the first. I don't know why I'm saying this story, but I've been wanting to say it for a couple of weeks, which must mean that it's important. When I was very little, it feels like it was in Germany. Um, there was a meeting. Maybe it wasn't because there was too many. There were military people. I don't know where it was. Maybe it was in Nevada. I have no idea. I was a little kid. There was a room and there was a big oval shaped table in the room. And around it were seated, I would say, mainly military people, important people, generals, whatever. And it had to do with the mind control program. And what they did was they had me be underneath the table. I think this is for Trump to listen to. This whole mind control thing is not going to be easy to ferret out and to get it cut. So I'm a little kid. I'm underneath the table. It's all these military men. I mean, maybe there was a couple people that weren't, but I just remember the military men. And what the person that was in charge said was that I had the ability to tell who was not loyal to the program, who was going to talk about it. So, okay, so he said that. And he said, and now she, me, is going to touch the private parts of those who are not loyal, which is what I did. Now, what were they proving? First place, they didn't say who wasn't loyal. And the people seated there, the men, couldn't tell who it was that I touched. It was the whole secrecy thing, the whole everybody, nobody knowing everything, the whole proving to them, whoever it was that wasn't loyal, that they had people like me that could tell who wasn't loyal. It was a very distressing memory. It's distressing as I say it. I'm not sure of all of the implications other than whoever put these programs together really know what they did. And we already know that it's a continuation of the Nazi program, the programs that they developed for developing a perfect human being, and the whole mind control stuff, which I'm not sure how much that was actually talked about. But I needed to say that story. I'm not sure why. She's saying, relax. Okay, I'm not relaxed. And see, I forgot what the second story was. So you'll have to get it another day. Okay, and stabilize your home and your property. If you want to help with the United States, get a map of the United States or your country or the world and put it on a place, on a table, and put crystals on all four corners. When you get into the other dimensions, there's no time, there's no measurements, there's no space, and there's no size, which is really disconcerting, but it's really great because if you want to give an entire country a healing, you can do it in the other dimensions. If you want to give something to the entire country in this dimension, you have to go through all these processes because of the physicality of the issue. And the physicality, the intention has to deal with the physical nature of the physical dimension. But in the other dimensions, you don't have to. If you want, and it's called a superpower, you can make things big and you can make them small. You can make things any way you want. It's really kind of neat and a lot of fun and totally different than the physical dimension. So you really need to have a training and an understanding. But it's really good because it's so easy to get things done in the other dimensions very quickly. And there's no time factor. So if you fix something in the past, which you hear about a lot, it's like, oh my God, we went back to the past to another lifetime and we fixed this and then it got fixed. If you fix it in the past, in the other dimensions, you're fixing it now. So the consequences are going to be very now and in the future. It's kind of neat. And we will hopefully get everybody into becoming experts in the other dimensional parts of themselves and of their problems because it's a much more efficient way of taking care of things. And certainly the mind control program, which is incredibly effective, is all based on multidimensionality. You can be standing in front of somebody and they could be killing you and you don't even know it because you don't know that their power is in the astral body. You see if I still have that. Oh, I took it down. No, I didn't. Here it is. It's got some text on it. But there you are. And there's the other person. But that gold body, which is the astral spirit, when you say, may the force be with you, that's the body. Your astral spirit could be kind of nice and okay, and you're there talking to this person. Their astral spirit could literally be committing murder. And you may have this feeling, doesn't feel so good or feel uncomfortable. You leave and say, well, I didn't feel so comfortable there, but you wouldn't actually know it or feel it unless you were multidimensional and had that ability. It's very disconcerting to be able to see people's physical body and their astral bodies also. And I've told you several stories about when that happens with me, and it's exhausting because the astral body will tell me a storyline that doesn't match the storyline of the person's physical body and personality. The astral body story is always what's really going on, and the person is telling me their version of what it is that's going on that kind of works for them. It's hard to be a liar in the other dimensions. Okay, so we will see you again, and things are going well. And I actually think it's really good that Trump has taken over because he is creating order and he is rooting us and grounding us and he's dealing with the physical things and they have to be dealt with. Under the previous president, the level of lying and the things that were considered important were very superficial. The grounding was not there. It's really important, and I am going to go to another story to tell you why this is important. Spiritual is not the physical dimensions, but if you are a human being, you have a physical body and you have to pay attention to the physical because it can completely destroy any forward motion having to do with your spiritual development. It's important enough that, and I may have said this story before, that when I was sent to Tibet to work with a Bon master, this old man. Bon is a spiritual tradition, and they're master in magic. They're magicians. Um, they're famous for their magic throughout history. So anyway, so this Bon master agreed to train me. I was around 10 years old. And I know that the Nazis had sent their people to the mountains in Tibet looking for Bon masters to learn their secrets. And the Bon masters, at least that's what's been said, they hid. They didn't want to work with the Nazis. Okay, so for whatever reason, they agreed to work with me. Fine, no problem. I didn't negotiate that. But what my Bon master told me was that in a dream, he had been told to take me on as a student. And he explained to me that in their part of the world, this was Tibet, in their part of the world, there was a lot of wisdom. but that the people didn't have enough to eat, and the children would die. And so the wisdom was not really so useful. But that in where I came from, which is the West, the information he was giving me would be able to be used, because we didn't have in the West the level of issues with physicality, food, shelter, safety. And that's true. And that is absolutely true. Interesting. All of the dimensions are important, but you do have to have the physical dimension kind of under control, because if not, you cannot make progress in the other dimensions. If you have a physical body, if you're alive in the physical dimension. Okay? We'll see you again. Thank you.